Hey Annie,
Hey Karen.
how are you?
I'm good. Yeah, it's summer here in Sweden
Yeah,
finally. Yeah.
yeah, and it's great
How are
to be
you?
here. This is our first ever podcast for
I
Bowspring ATX.
know. So exciting.
Yeah, super excited. And when we were talking about it, we just kind of said it would be great to start our first podcast just sharing our journey. Like, how has Bowspring touched your life? How has it shaped you? What brought you into Bowspring? Anything you want to share here in the beginning and just tell your story.
Yeah, for sure. Well, my start was in 2016. I moved to Canada, to Victoria in BC. And I have a background in dance and yoga, so I used to practice a lot of yoga through my dance education. So normally, like moving to a new city, I just looked for the local yoga studios to check them out. And I went to practice like vinyasa and like hot yoga and whatnot. And then I saw Bowspring on the schedule. And I
Nice.
was like, what is this? And in the class description, I remember it said inversions. And I also have a background in gymnastics and I love being upside down. So
Right.
like this sounds like a fun, challenging class. So I went, and like after that, I haven't really looked back. Um, I remember the like impression during my first class being, I think the feeling I had was like, this is like I felt confused. Like this is weird, and I felt confused. I was all of a sudden supposed to like really send my hips back and up and like have my like position my body and move my body in a different way. I was so used to like stacking my bones, tuck my tailbone, like squeeze the abs because that
Yeah.
was supposed to
Gymnastics.
support my lower back, you know?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I came into this different alignment. And what really, so I had my first impression was like, oh, this is odd and weird and different. But somehow I really was intrigued by the teacher, Jonathan Boyd. He was an excellent teacher and it was a fun little group. So I went back and then and it just felt better and better each time. The first classes, I was like, oh, my quads are killing me. Like my front thighs, like all the action went into those dominant places of the body. I didn't really know how to activate my posterior chain, my back body. Um, and was what really like caught me and like what made me stay was that I could, for the first time in many years, work with my injuries while moving.
Yeah.
So while doing other yoga practices like Bikram and Vinyasa, I had like a hamstring tear, and then doing a lot of dancing and not proper rehab on that. I had this really like irritated hamstrings muscles and bowspring was like the only thing that worked. I was like, okay, this is something to hold on to because all of a sudden I can like move with ease and no pain and I don't need to go into hyperextension or overstretching my tissues. And I can heal while moving, and that was awesome.
And for those who don't know you, I think
Oh,
it's
yeah.
important to really say, like, you live in Sweden now, right? You're in a
Yeah.
different country. I'm
Yeah.
in us in Texas. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, I moved to Canada in 2016, but I only lived there for a year. Then I moved back to Stockholm, Sweden, and I've been here since.
Yeah.
So
You met your husband, yeah.
yeah, exactly. I moved to Canada for love, and he moved back with me here. Um, and then as soon as I went back to Stockholm, like the only way for me to really keep the bowspring alive was to start teaching it. Because there was no bowspring community in Stockholm. The online community wasn't as big back then. And this
Yeah.
was before pandemic and everything. So I was like, okay, I have to start teaching. So that's what I did. And then, yeah, 2 years later, I was a certified bowspring teacher. And I went to like all of John and Desi's workshop when they came to Europe, once in Canada or twice, and then I met you in Denver and Colorado for a teacher training. Yeah,
That's beautiful.
yeah. How about you?
For me, I mean, it was something kind of similar because it's like I think for everyone listening, Bowspring isn't like a very known word. It's not very out there. You don't find it everywhere. It's not like people know the word yoga or HIIT or those kinds of things. And so I had joined a gym, like Gold's Gym,
Mhm.
after I had my third child. And they were offering yoga classes, and I stepped in. It was hot yoga with this teacher, and she attended the first ever workshop in Texas, in Austin.
Mm.
And she brought back that wisdom from that workshop. And I mean, I think I've been teaching for over 11 years now, so it's been more than that, longer than that, somewhere around 2014 or something around that.
Yeah.
And when she brought in this idea that, that we don't have to tuck the boots, that
Yeah.
we're not, that we're not compressing into our joints. I had carpal tunnel after my yoga teacher training, because I did train to be a yoga teacher, and it was terrible. I couldn't put weight. I couldn't do crouching cat or downward dog for those, that don't know the other term. And so, just by learning the therapeutics from Bowspring, I was healed, and it, was almost instantaneous.
Mm.
So I remember when she came back with all that wisdom, and I was like, oh my gosh, I want to know more about this. And she's like, okay, well, John and Desi, Desi Springer, John Friend, follow them, look for information and study it. And she kind of just let me go on my own path and journey. And at the time, there was only like one Bowspring class on Saturday taught
Yeah.
by
Right.
Michael Stewart. And I would haul all my three kids. We'd make a day out of it. I'd about an hour and some away, and I would take all my kids on Saturday to practice. And it was a pretty big class, and the community was pretty strong in Austin. Stayed like that for a while, for many years. And that's how I got into really bowspring, because at the beginning, it was like bow sprinkling,
Yeah.
because I was a yoga teacher. You're trying to like integrate these things. Oh, okay. So if we're doing forward fold, we're not going to lock out our knees. We're not going to bring our belly to our thighs. We're actually going to extend, all these little things where you're trying to put in the bowspring algorithm to this class. But eventually, with time, you understand that it doesn't work, and you need the slow and steady and extensive cueing, of like how to get all the body parts in the right place in order to really be able to feel the magic of the bowspring, which in my opinion is the tensegrity. Like you said, you
Yeah.
feel light in your body. You don't have to feel heavy. I remember just having three children and businesses and all things. Life felt heavy. I felt heavy. My shoulders were always tense. I always had, pain in my neck, headaches. It was just a constant. That's how I was living. And Bowspring moved me out of all of that. And that really, I mean, I was sold on that. And it was fun, it
Yeah.
was super
Right.
fun. We
Yeah.
would get up on walls, and we would laugh, and we would, growl and do all kinds of things, in class that you don't
Like
do in a typical
animals. Yeah.
typical yoga class. It's like
Yeah.
up dog, down dog, da, 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 sweat, sweat, and get on with your day. And this
Hmm.
was like almost like a prayer, and like it was such a internal um so much internal work, because
Yeah.
this week we're talking about mindfulness. You have to think about where every part of your body is placed and what you're doing with it, and how, it's relating to the other. So that sold me on it. And then I got certified as a bowspring teacher, I think around the same time that you did, maybe a little bit after. And yeah, in 2022, we started Bowspring ATX. So
Yeah.
that has been super fun.
So
Um,
you started that 2022. Like what brought
right.
you, how did that happen?
So the long standing, so okay, so that class that I used to take with Michael Stewart for years on Saturdays, eventually I had a class of my own at the same studio on Sunday. And eventually I became the head of the whole Bowspring program in that studio. And that ran for a couple of years. By that time, I already had my fourth child. And it was great. You know, we had a great big community. We were doing workshops. John and Desi were coming in, sometimes twice a year. It was awesome. And at one point, the program ended. The studio owner decided to end the program, and I was like, "We're not going to let this program end." So
Mm,
I just, with at the time it was Tammy and Shonda, and so we just kind of took
right.
we're like, no, we're just going to do this whole thing ourselves online, and we can do it. And we did. As things evolved, Tammy went on her own way, and Shonda and I stayed. And then we made a decision to, get more teachers involved, because I feel like with Bowspring, as maybe similar to any practice or any, something that you really get into, it's community. So it's about community, and it's about being together, and it's about exploring these ideas together. I remember even like I started this thing because I was so eager to talk about Bowspring. I think this is also why we're doing this podcast,
Yeah,
because you
yeah.
have to talk about it. It's like
You
it's
want
like
to share what's so
okay.
good. Like, you want to share. Like, how can you not?
Exactly. It's like
Yeah,
this treasure that you're holding, this wisdom, this
yeah,
knowledge, this gift that you can give to people,
totally.
and you're just so eager to speak about it and hear other people's experiences with it, and then light up your own experiences, which I think is what we do with Bowspring ATX is, we're this big community of teachers. You're teaching from Sweden. We have Bonnie in Greece and in Germany sometimes. We have Tara, who is in California now, moving to Florida. And then we have practitioners from all over the world.
Yeah.
And each teacher has their own style, their own groove, and we get to practice together in a fun playground class once a month that we opened up to everyone, to take our practice next level. Do you want to share on that?
Yeah, so this started this spring, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
this year. So I joined, it must have been last year, like in September, I think. Yeah, so almost a year ago, I joined Bowspring ATX. Before that, I was teaching like locally in Stockholm, but it was hard to keep the studio classes up by myself, especially after the pandemic and after being on parental leave. It was hard to get back to the studio since I don't have a big following in Stockholm. So I started to teach online also, coming back from maternity leave and due to the pandemic. And I think that's where we kind of connected a bit more. You started to take my classes, and I heard of Bowspring ATEX, so I started to take your classes. And then after a while, it was kind of like, why are we doing this on our own? So why don't we join each other? And you invited me to join you, and I got thrilled. I was scared at first. I was like, oh, Bowspring ATEX, like you're so like ahead of the game and really on top of your bowspring. But it just like really motivated me and inspired me to like be a great teacher. And I really think that I've grown so much since joining you. I just have to say, it's really like I've been so inspired to just grow as a teacher and as a practitioner. But yeah, so I've been teaching weekly since September last year, and this spring we decided to start like a playground class because we were eager to take our practice to the next level and just to like explore and have a playground class. It's like a level 3. Everyone is invited though to join. So even like with a maybe not super advanced practice, you can join and see where you can take your practice.
Yeah.
So we do this monthly.
Yeah.
Yeah, have been since beginning of this year, and
I
it's
think
fun. It's really fun.
it's been like, I think as when you're a long time teacher, and we've taken many workshops with John and Desi all over the world in different places. And there's always like this eagerness, like, how can we grow this? How can
Yeah.
we, and when Desi had Vital in Denver, that's where we met.
Mm.
Uh,
Right.
she had a playground class, and that was
Ah,
super, super fun. And it was always like all the craziest things you could imagine. And people could come in pretty, like you just said, like not have a very advanced practice. I mean, maybe not beginner, like trying to teach
oh,
somebody seed hands, like a little bit of a knowledge, but then, and then you can also watch people, and you can watch the possibilities, and you can watch where this practice can go. We climb on walls, and we do all these different things, and we're able to really feel light in it and not heavy and not weighted and not compressed
Yeah.
and not in our joints, which is really such a gift. And I think that that's the beauty of, like you said, Bowspring ATX were like advanced and all that. But I really think, first of all, I did a mentorship program with Desi for 5 years.
Yeah.
So meeting up with her weekly, and I also met up with John at least 6 months, if not eight, when she was on maternity leave. We did a mentorship program that continued, and Shonda meets up with John weekly, and so it's like we're very integrated with Bowspring, the main hub, and I think
Yeah.
that's what really sets us apart from different studios or online offerings or whatnot. That and for a very long time, years, Desi
Yeah.
would set the theme of the week for the classes, and review and give feedback and offer insights, and she's there often on Sundays practicing with us. So that really keeps us connected to the main source of Bowspring, which are
Yeah.
John and Desi, and that's a
I
gift.
think that's what makes the platform so unique. And I think that's what I meant. Like it really
Yeah,
shows in your
yeah,
teaching, like both you and Shanda, like it's really detailed and it's really like updated.
exactly.
And you're like, oh, I have this new post, and oh, this is this, and we said this, but now we're thinking like that. So like when we're like shifting things around and yeah, staying updated and
Exactly.
so that really shows in the teaching, and that's what I meant. Like not necessarily that the practice is so advanced. Like we have different levels. We offer elementals and level one and level two. Uh, but the teaching, I think, is really, yeah, it's good teaching. I
I
love
agree.
teaching. Yeah.
I agree. And I think it's so wonderful to be able to practice among such amazing humans. It's an amazing gathering of people from all over the world that are so mindful and so willing.
Hmm.
Like my first ever business card for Bowspring as a teacher was like, Bowspring is for everybody, and
Yeah.
like highlighted body and big bold letters. And I still think that, but I also think that you have to have such an open mind when you come into
Yeah.
Bowspring. And I don't know that everyone in the whole wide world is
Right.
at this moment ready. You know what I mean? So it's just like it is for everybody, but
But not for every mind.
you have to be super open-minded,
Yeah.
super mindful,
Yeah.
willing to hear all the things and willing to change
Mm.
your own patterns. But I think the benefits that we get from that, and maybe this can be what we talk about next, is like the benefits of healing. What kind of healing? You mentioned your hamstring injury, but were there
Yeah.
other benefits that you found through Bowspring, on your journey?
Yeah, so many. Where do I start? No, but like even today, I feel Bowspring being such like complementary like practice to everything. Like I do a lot of physical like exercise. I'm a physiotherapist here in Stockholm, and I love like running, I love weightlifting and stuff like that. And as soon as I feel something getting like stuck or stiff in my body, like, oh, I've been running too much, I have like a sore, I don't know, ankle or whatever, I go back to the bowspring, I do a little less of that, I do a little bit more bowspring, and it just like heals. No, but it really balanced the body because you work with the body in such a wholesome, holistic way. Um, that no part is left behind, no part, if you're doing it like correctly, you don't overstrain like any part. Like it's really that like wholesome, holistic approach to moving your body, and that's why I think it has such a healing effect to when you move. So yeah, my hamstrings, yes, have healed. I haven't had any other like big injuries. I broke my hand 2 years ago and I could still practice the bowspring. Like I could still practice the bowspring and I could like integrate like the tissue. I could work my hand again. You see the the big scar in my hand. Like I could find like the tone and like engagement in my arm because I couldn't use my right arm for like months, the right hand, and I'm right-handed. So just by like even with a cast in the beginning, just like doing the seed hand like slightly with the cast, I could like, okay, there's the tone, there's the engagement, like I could find that again. So it has so many benefits, and you can work the bowstring in so many different ways, like to heal your body. It doesn't need to be showing up to class every day. We talked about this earlier today. Like it can be in your everyday life. Like
Yeah.
you go out for a walk and you can find more even tone and use of the legs when you dig drag, like your feet, like all these terms. But no, but it's really great and applicable to everyday movements, like as you sit, I don't know. I was, for example, riding my bike. For example, I'm doing a lot of bicycling now because it's summertime. And like on my bike, I'm like, okay, radiant ribs. I can really like pressure down into my handles. I can feel the rise of my ribs and working the radiant heart in the rib cage. So yeah, so many great things.
The only thing on the bike that I always found challenging is like I would ask my husband, do I have a lumbar curve? Do I have a lumbar
Yeah.
curve?
Yeah.
Is it there? I'd be
Yeah.
like lifting my glutes up and then making sure, but it gets you in a pretty precarious situation. So like
Yeah. There's
shape.
more weight to the pubic bone, right? With anterior
Uh-huh.
tip. And the coccyx, the tailbone is like almost free.
Yeah.
Like, and then you can do it when you do pedaling, you can rise up and yeah, I like
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
exactly. When you rise up, then you got it. Like, and if you
Yeah,
kind of like lift up a little bit, if you're not like slouching over and you're like lifting up a little bit, you have it. So
totally.
it's fun.
And it's
Yeah.
also like you work the chain, like if you do one thing, the kind of this other parts kind of follow. So as soon as you go into your like fullness of the ribs, you're like, okay, there is my lower back curve. Oh, there's my cervical spine. Okay, there it is. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll share just before we end, I'll share like I had a cervical vertebrae was like out in my neck. And I
Oh
remember I was
yeah.
going to see a chiropractor for a long time. And she was like, you're just always going to be like that. And I went to one of the workshops and I asked John if he thinks that I'll be able to fix this. And he's like, yeah, of course. I was like, never saw the chiropractor ever again. Not
Yeah,
that I have anything negative to say about chiropractors, but in that instance, she was not going to help what was going on, and it has realigned itself. I'm still working it, but I definitely have, if it was at 100, I'm like at a 10, now with everything related. And the biggest thing I think that I really appreciate Bowspring for that maybe a lot of women can relate is I have 5 children, and after birthing children, you lose a lot of the control of your pelvic floor. So I would like sneeze and leak and cough and leak. I wouldn't be able to jump, I wouldn't be able to jump rope or jump on a trampoline. And Bowspring really teaches you how to create a trampoline effect on your pelvic floor. So you're not like pulling up like a Kegel in one direction, but you really make a bounce, a spring. And
hmm
so now, even back then I was doing like 100 jumps every morning on my trampoline that I had outside at the time. And so, it's like it's immense healing. And I mentioned the carpal tunnel. So immense healing in ways that I think you don't find a lot of offerings
yeah,
outside, in the regular world. I don't know what we'd say, but
yeah,
out there in the
yeah.
traditional.
And to add on to that, I think it also has so much to do with like the belief in the body's ability to heal and to transform. And
Yeah.
that's for me what Bowspring is about. Like you
Yeah.
said, like the chiropractor said, oh no, that's not fixable. Like it's permanent. And then John, like the co-founder of Bowspring, is like, no, 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 that's like we can just work that out while,
Be
yeah,
okay. We'll be fine.
practicing. Yeah. So yeah, it's a powerful method.
It
Yeah.
is. And I'll say here at closing, just kind of also go off of what you were saying. I think you also mentioned like your first bowstring class, you were like, whoa, oh my gosh, this is so much, and how am I going to remember and all the things, like just kind of overwhelmed maybe, which I feel like a lot of people do feel in a bowstring class, or if they just look at the algorithm and they kind of see, oh my gosh, all these little details, I have to think about all these things all at once. And I'll often tell people, no, you can just bring in 5% of bowstring in your day in the beginning, then
Yeah.
maybe up it to 10%. You just kind of start adding it in where you can and what makes most sense to you in that day. and you will see profound change, even if it's just a little bit. And then the miracle thing is the body keeps wanting it. So then I think at our stage, we're like, where else can I bring Bowspring into? Like, well, what else? Like, can I be in it more and more? And so you
Yeah.
just kind of like, and obviously, no one is in it 100% of the time. It's just that's not
No.
realistic to say. We all, we sleep, we rest, we do other things, and you're not going to maintain it for 100% of the day. But if it's there for you, if you have that knowledge and you can pull it and draw on it when you need it, then I think that is a life well lived.
Yeah. 100%.
So do you want to leave our listeners with like a bowspring tip for their day, something to do, one thing that they can
Um,
do?
no, but while you said that, I was just thinking about how I move differently now than from before practicing bowspring. Like I would, yeah, I actually dare to say this. I would like all never like bend forward and like hunch my back and like flex my lower back. I would always like send my hips back, hinge at the hips, and like lean forward, or like go into a deep squat and use the power of my legs. And I
Yeah,
do that now because I practice the bowspring so much, so I've embodied that. That's how I move. But that could be one thing, like think how you bend if you reach something for the floor, if you pick something up, if you like load the dishwasher or whatever. Like where are your hips? Like how do you bend over or move forward or lean? Like
that's a good one.
yeah.
I'll leave everyone with like when you sit on a chair, lift your glutes up.
Mhm. Which is so
And
connected to
exactly to what
yeah.
you're saying, because it's exactly that. And maybe we should be starting from the ribs because it's the number one, but that's what we said today, and that's fine. Because there are so many, we have
Yeah.
10 key areas, and we will kind of be touching on them in our other podcasts. So stay tuned. But this is a simple fix that anyone can do. You just sit on your chair instead of just sitting automatically. You lift your glutes up and you bring your pelvic floor so that it's aligned with the ground. And man, it's like you can breathe easier. I just redid that. I did it before we started and I did it now. And it's like
Yeah.
there's just so much more room to breathe, to be free, to be light in your body. And
Mhm.
it feels great. So
Mhm.
that's one little thing.
Good one.
All right. We hope to see you all in our Bowspring ATX classes online. We have classes every day, every day.
Yeah. So good.
And yeah, you can go online and see bowspringatx.com and you'll find
Yeah.
it there.
Join us.
Thank you.
Thank you.